This is Washington Watch. I'm Tony Perkins. Okay, a transgender female inmate, that is a man pretending to be a woman, impregnated 2 women while incarcerated in New Jersey's only female prison. Now, he's recently been moved to a new facility, now, according to the Department of Corrections there. Now, you may be mocked or canceled for believing this, but you know what? Biology matters. So I'm not sure why anyone is surprised that pregnancies and worse, such as rapes and assaults, occur when you place biological male convicts in women's prisons. Now, last year, the Biden administration spent nearly $1.5 million to produce a transgender programming curriculum for federal prisons. But maybe it didn't include this lesson. Join me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Greg Steube. He's a member of the House Judiciary Committee and the House Foreign Affairs Committee and represents the 17th Congressional District of Florida. Congressman Steube, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good to see you.
All right, before I jump into this nonsense, we were just discussing with the Montana Attorney General Knudsen the success in Tennessee on Friday where a federal judge put a halt to the dear colleague instruction coming from the Biden administration as it pertained to women's sports. You have a discharge petition that you're trying to get a vote on a bill that would, in fact, protect women's sports all across the country. How's that going?
Yeah, we're almost to 200 signatures on that bill. We're trying to get all the Republicans sign on because, of course, Democrats aren't going to sign a bill that would actually protect women's sports because they care more about the 0.5% of trans athletes out there that want to play in sports that they're not biological sex in and completely demolish Title IX athletic activities. So we're getting closer. I'm certainly not hopeful that we're going to get any Democrats to join us, so we won't get to the 218 that we need to have a vote on the House floor. But Leader McCarthy and the Republicans, when we take the House back in November and get the gavels in January, he has specifically said that that will be one of the bills that will be done very quickly after we take the majority. And I think finally the American people will get to see where their member of Congress is on this important piece of legislation. And I don't really care what your political affiliation is. Women out there deserve the opportunity under Title IX that was created 50 years ago to compete in their own athletic activities. And if you allow biological men to compete in women's sports, then there's no sense in having women's sports under Title IX.
Absolutely right. It makes absolutely no sense, but that never stopped anyone up here. Now, let me ask you about this. Republicans take control. Are we going to see items like this scrubbed from the budget, $1.5 million on a transgender programming curriculum for federal prisons? I mean, why is that a priority when, Americans are facing these record high inflation rates, fuel prices through the roof, and this government continues to pursue abortion, transgendering America, and of course, we're going to talk about in a minute, they want to codify the 2015 court decision redefining marriage. What's going on here?
That absolutely is our strongest tool when we take the majority back to be able to rein in a completely progressive, non-mainstream, anti-American agenda that is the Biden administration. The House holds the purse strings under the Constitution. So when we take the majority back, we absolutely need to rein in the spending, and we can accomplish policy goals through the appropriations process. For example, immigration and naturalization and border control, we can put riders on our amendments and on our appropriations bills that says not a single dollar of this fund shall be used to allow an illegal immigrant to come into our country. In the military funding, we can say not a single dollar of this fund should be for CRT training in our military or transgenderism in our military or vaccine mandates in our military. So we can accomplish policy objectives through the appropriations process. And that's really going to be the real way that we can accomplish policy goals, because it's the real only tool that we'll have, even if we take the House and the Senate, because you still have Biden in the White House. We control the purse strings, so we should determine how the money's spent in this country. And
that will box in a lot of these liberal policies from the Biden administration. I know your family have background in law enforcement. I mean, should we be surprised if we put men who are masquerading as women into women's prison that inmates turn up pregnant?
Not surprising at all. And I'm sure these inmates know that if they quote unquote identify as a woman, that they're going to get placed into these facilities in states like California and other states that recognize the ability for people to do this. So if you're a felon and a convict and you're a male and you want to be with a bunch of females, you just simply say, I want to identify with a woman. And it doesn't take much common sense to see and forecast that something like this is going to happen and you're going to have rapes in your women prisons. Reasonable people obviously wouldn't allow this to occur, but we are in a different world today where we have the Biden administration running things as it relates to our federal prison system in liberal states that are allowing this to happen. And you're going to see exactly these type of things occur with those type of policies in place.
It's insane. It really is. Greg, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
You too, sir. Anytime.
All right. Greg Steube.